Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm your host, Liang Zhang. Let's take a quick look at today's top stories. A judge ruled in favor of 3 college students in the Central Valley who sued their community college. The case was a battle over freedom of expression and speech. After months of investigation, the DOJ announced the gun owner data leak was unintentional. It affected nearly 200,000 people. In a case involving college students' free speech, a judge recently ruled in favor of 3 students who sued their community college in Fresno. We heard from one of the students and an attorney on the case. NTD's David Lam reports.
On October 14th, a federal district court judge ordered Clovis Community College to abandon its speech policy that resulted in suppressing a student group's viewpoints. Staff from the community college took down students' posters that criticized authoritarianism. Alejandro Flores, founder of the Young Americans for Freedom chapter at Clovis, told NTD he was taken aback from this whole process as he wasn't expecting it at all.
If it's happening here at my school, it's happening across other campuses. This area is fairly conservative, so.
On November 2021, Flores, Daniel Flores, and Juliet Kalunga obtained approval to post anti-communist flyers from their conservative student organization to bulletin boards inside campus buildings. It's part of the group's annual event called Freedom Week.
So we put those posters up. We went through the school's bureaucratic process. We got approval, but it came to our attention later that the school took it down. We didn't know why it was taken down. You just said, you know what, they're taking it down, but if you want, you can go to this free speech kiosk where no one goes to and post your flyers there. And immediately we were like, why? There's no one walks in that area. The only living things around there are the school geese. And I don't think they're gonna read it, so what's the point?
Administration received complaints that the flyers made several people uncomfortable, resulting in Clovis President Dr. Lori Bennett directing other staff to take down the flyers, saying, quote, "If you need a reason, you can let them know that we agreed they aren't club announcements."
So all we wanted to do was to put these flyers up on our college campus to let students know, under communism, this is how many people have died. We got it from the Black Book Communism, over 100 million deaths attributed to this one ideology, to this one regime that was spread throughout the world.
The school's poster policy prohibited flyers with inappropriate or offensive language or themes. Jeff Zeman, attorney with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, filed the lawsuit on August 2022 on behalf of Flores' Young American for Freedom chapter.
The court's grant of the preliminary injunction was a huge win for our students. We are hoping that this case will ultimately vindicate their rights in their entirety. It's been a pleasure working with them and defending their rights and their ability to speak.
The lawsuit argues that the school's policy discriminates against the students' viewpoints in a public forum, and that it's unconstitutional under the First Amendment for banning speech that the government deems offensive. Anthony DeMaria, attorney representing the college district, told NTD that the district and Clovis Community College values the First Amendment rights of all students and staff. To that end, the flyer policy in question has already been replaced and all campus clubs are able to post their materials without any of the prior concerns raised. There have been no complaints since the new policy was enacted. We are hopeful that this entire matter can now be resolved. Now, whether someone has conservative or progressive beliefs, Flores says he wants students' speech to be heard.
I want people to hash out their ideas, their beliefs, and to exchange and, to have a conversation, because that's the only way you can actually grow as a person. You can figure out which ideology is better. It's by actually communicating.
The judge ruled that the school's previous policy, quote, undermines the school's own interests in fostering a diversity of viewpoints on campus, thus frustrating rather than promoting the college's basic educational mission. Now, the case is still ongoing, but prosecution is seeking a permanent injunction and to grant monetary damages for the students. David Lam, NTD News, California.
Back in late June, the California Department of Justice launched a firearms dashboard portal. Within hours, users found that they could access and download thousands of gun owners' confidential information. Now, months later, the investigation has determined the information leak was an accident and not ill-intentioned.
The Department of Justice said on Wednesday about 192,000 people who applied for concealed carry weapons permits between 2012 and 2021 had some of their confidential personal data leaked on June 27 and 28 this year. Some of that data included dates of birth, addresses, gender, weapon type, registration type, and more. According to the investigation, people downloaded the data either partially or in full over 2,700 times across 507 unique IP addresses during a roughly 12-hour period. In a statement, Attorney General Rob Bonta said, "I remain deeply angered that this incident occurred and extend my deepest apologies on behalf of the Department of Justice to those who were affected." The DOJ hired an outside law firm, Morrison Forrester, to conduct the investigation with the help of an outside cyber expert called FTI. The investigation found that the leaked information was unacceptable but unintentional. They blamed the DOJ's lack of training, expertise, insufficient documentation, policies, procedures, and inadequate oversight. Following the investigation, the DOJ plans to thoroughly review all of its policies and procedures, provide enhanced training for handling confidential personal data, and evaluate security risks.
The alleged assailants connected with Antifa have taken plea deals in a San Diego court. The charges are related to the violent attacks on Trump supporters shortly after the 2020 election.
6 of the alleged assailants connected with the far-left extremist group Antifa have taken plea deals for their involvement in the violent attacks at a 2021 Patriot March in San Diego. 5 defendants pleaded guilty on November 18th. That's just over a week after Eric Nicky Louis Yack was sentenced to 4 years and 8 months in prison. The sentencing was for his role in the violence near Crystal Pier in Pacific Beach on January 9, 2021. San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan announced in June that a criminal grand jury delivered 29 indictments against all 11 defendants. Charges include conspiracy to commit a riot, use of tear gas, assault with a deadly weapon, and assault by means likely to produce great bodily injury. The district attorney says on January 2nd, 2021, Antifa supporters posted on social media called for a, quote, counter-protest and direct action against Trump supporters. 1 week later, they gathered with other, quote, uncharged co-conspirators dressed in black garb with Antifa insignia to confront those participating in the Patriot March. The indictments accused the Antifa-affiliated group of planning the attacks and using a baseball bat, flagpole, stun gun, and tear gas on their victims. They were also accused of throwing a wooden lawn chair at a woman. Prosecutors say, quote, other victims included a journalist taking photos, a dog that was maced, and a business that was also vandalized. The San Diego Police Department reported a total of 16 separate attacks on 8 people. None of the Trump supporters or other bystanders were charged with any crimes. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. A family member of the victims of a triple homicide spoke out for the first time since the incident. She hopes to warn people about the dangers of online catfishing. Elon Musk recently criticized Apple's App Store as being too powerful. Another CEO is now expressing a similar opinion. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Liang Zhang. On Wednesday, Riverside County Police held a press conference regarding a triple homicide. Michelle Blendon spoke for the first time regarding the tragic events that led to her parents' and her older sister's death.
For the first time, the victims' families speaking out regarding a recent triple homicide that took place in Riverside County. Police responded to a welfare check and a house fire on November 25th. Officers later found the bodies of what they believe may be homicide victims.
When I had arrived at my house, we had learned that something more tragic had happened. In a time where communities are afraid to report strange sightings, the loving neighbors on my parents' street saw an unfamiliar car, and they immediately reported it to authorities.
The victims have been identified as 69-year-old Mark Winnick, his 65-year-old wife Sherry Winnick, and their daughter 38-year-old Brooke Winnick. The exact cause and manner of their deaths are still under investigation. Blandin learned that her sister's 15-year-old daughter was accompanied by 28-year-old Austin Lee Edwards around that time. According to a press release by the Riverside Police Department, Edwards is an ex-law enforcement officer from Virginia and died in a shootout with Riverside Police hours after officers responded to the fire. Edwards met the teenage girl online where he obtained her personal information through a method known as catfishing. This is when someone pretends to be a different person than they actually are.
It appears that the suspect met the victim online through a common form of enticement called catfishing, where we believe he portrayed himself as a teenager to develop an online relationship with her.
Chief Gonzalez went on to say catfishing is a broad category of online exploitation, which includes, but is not limited to, sextortation in which a child is being groomed for different reasons. In some instances, the goal may be to sell and trade a child's sexual images or to ultimately meet face-to-face. This can take place across all online platforms such as social media, messaging apps, gaming platforms, and others. Blandin says this is why she decided to come out to warn parents of the dangers online.
In this tragic moment of our family, our grief, we hope some good will come from this. Parents, please, please know your child's online activity. Ask questions about what they are doing and whom they are talking to. Anybody can say they're someone else, and you could be in this situation, which I do not want for the world. This horrific event started with an inappropriate online romance between a predator and a child.
The investigation is still ongoing. Police say they are looking into how deep a relationship the 15-year-old victim had with Edwards, the house fire, and the actual cause of death of the family.
Elon Musk isn't the only giant tech company CEO who has expressed the opinion that the Apple's App Store could be too powerful. Mark Zuckerberg has recently made similar public comments. NTD's Sean Marshall has more details.
Does Apple have too much power with their App Store? Or is it just the effect of successfully running a business? Mark Zuckerberg doesn't think Apple's App Store policies are sustainable. He had this to say at the New York Times Dealbook Summit on Wednesday.
I do think Apple has sort of singled themselves out as the only company that is trying to control like unilaterally what apps get on a device.
Elon Musk has posted many of his thoughts about Apple on his own social media platform, Twitter. Among the list of grievances he tweeted on Monday was the up to 30% fee Apple charges on software developers for in-app purchases. Musk posted a meme suggesting he was willing to go to war with Apple rather than pay the commission. I spoke with tech expert Burton Kelso how a war between Musk and Apple would play out.
I think Elon would definitely lose that war. Apple just has too much customer loyalty when it comes to their products. I mean, you've got people that wait in line for Apple devices. And although Elon does have a lot of playing power, Apple definitely is a tech giant as far as personal devices are concerned. So it would not end well for Elon Musk.
After Musk met with Apple chief executive Tim Cook on Wednesday, Musk tweeted that they resolved the misunderstanding about Twitter potentially being removed from the App Store. There were some interesting tweets during the time when Musk almost went to war with Apple. One was a poll asking if Apple should publish all censorship actions it has taken that affect its customers. I asked Kelso for his view on that question.
So I'm kind of on the fence as far as that's concerned, because I know Apple's not doing anything to keep information from the general public, but at the same time, a lot of tech companies don't share what information they're censoring, so it would be a good gesture on Apple's part to go ahead and do so, just to give people peace of mind.
Apple must be doing something, right? Google Play's App Store has more apps available than Apple's App Store by almost 3-1, according to Statista. But Apple takes the lead in third quarter revenue with $21.2 billion compared to Google Play's $10.4 billion. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
It's not just people leaving California. Now the largest county by land size is looking to move away. The county's chairman explains why.
San Bernardino County is planning to leave California. They came up with a measure called Measure EE that would allow for research and methods to withdraw from the state. Kurt Hagman, chairman of the San Bernardino County Supervisors, explained to California Insider's Siamak Karami how the measure started.
In comparison to our other counties throughout the state, we're the bottom third of the state resources coming back to our county.
Hagman said for years they have been operating as much as they can, per the state's requirements, with as little as possible.
On one hand, they're saying you need to build more housing, okay, and forcing us through the numbers of allocation from Sacramento for each city to build X amount of more houses. The problem is some of these cities have no land left, so literally they have to tear down single-family homes and build apartments or condos to build up more housing units, but they're not giving us the dollars for that. At the same time, layer upon layer of regulation to add, you got to have solar, you got to have, drought stuff, you got to have this kind of insulation. We want these type of provisions all add to the cost of housing.
The local government would go talk to the representatives to voice their concerns and needs, but with little to no fruit. They believe money and resources were not allocated properly, from mental health to the correction system to education.
Not that I'm arguing that every resources should be allocated equally either, because there's certain areas that may need more. I would argue that San Bernardino County needs more for transportation because we are the largest geographical county and we are a main spot for logistics coming from ports of Long Beach and LA, and we have all the warehouses and trucks going through the county that we probably need more lanes than maybe a Northern California county would need. But there needs to be a logic to the way they do it and not just a political ramification. And we believe that the resources are more political in nature.
Hagman says it's not fair when the people's tax dollars get reallocated and not meet their needs. So they proposed Measure EE in hopes to shed more light on the issue.
So this process, if the voters approve it, will give their voice behind us 5 electeds to go make that argument and to look at what options we have as a county. I call it mild to wild. Mild is to have data to go lobby hopefully more effectively and show where we're not getting our money. Mild may be a class action lawsuit for those counties that are not getting their share, and to put some more language in the way that allocation of resources are going through the state. And the more wild side is, what is the steps for succession from California?
As of November 30th, about 50.6% voted yes for Measure EE and 49.4% voted no. The results are unofficial.
Now let's check in with NTD's Thomas Christian for today's Sports Roundup.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
49ers running back Christian McCaffrey missed practice on Wednesday with an apparent knee injury. San Francisco will be hosting the 8-3 Miami Dolphins this Sunday in what is expected to be an extremely high-profile and hard-fought matchup. The 49ers are coming into Sunday's game on a 4-game winning streak, but only one of the 4 teams they beat in that time are above 500. The Dolphins represent a chance for San Francisco to prove its legitimacy, but they will need to be as close to full strength as possible to knock off a red-hot Miami squad. Kyle Shanahan said that he's hopeful the running back will be available Sunday. McCaffrey is reportedly dealing with a sore and irritated knee, and there is no actual structural damage to speak of. But if McCaffrey is out, the 49ers running back situation will get pretty tight. Backup Elijah Mitchell is also out for the entire season, So if McCaffrey sits, the starting job would go to one of two rookies, Jordan Mason or Tyrion Davis-Price. Any other leftover snaps would be taken by fifth-string running back Tevin Coleman. John Wall led the Clippers with 26 points off the bench, but LA was limited, playing without Paul George from a hamstring injury, Kawhi Leonard from an ankle injury, and Norman Powell with a groin issue. And they were also coming off a second straight night after winning their first of a back-to-back in Portland on Tuesday. Still, Jordan Clarkson scored a season-high 33 points to help Utah snap a 5-game losing streak by beating Los Angeles in Salt Lake City. Lauri Markkanen added 23 points and 9 rebounds, Colin Sexton chipped in 21, 6 and 6, and Jared Vanderbilt compiled 14 points and 12 rebounds for the Jazz. Jazz 125, Clippers 112. Light the beam. Sacramento spoiled the homecoming of Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield, with Harrison Barnes scoring 22 points and Malik Monk 20 in a romp over Indiana. De'Aaron Fox went for 19 and Domantas Sabonis put up 11 and 10 rebounds against his old mates, helping the Kings snap a 3-game losing streak. Halliburton had 9 points and a game-high tying 10 assists for the Pacers, while Hield poured in 17. Indiana fell to 1-2 on a 7-game road trip. Kings 137, Pacers 114. LeBron James scored 31 points and Anthony Davis added 27 and 12 rebounds as the Lakers rebounded from a demoralizing loss earlier this week to beat visiting Portland. Austin Reeves had 22 points in his 8th start of the season as the Lakers showed a finishing kick after blowing a 17-point lead in the 4th quarter on Monday during a home loss to the Pacers. Jeremy Grant had 27 points for Portland while Anthony Simons scored 22. While the Trailblazers lost their 3rd consecutive game and fell for the 7th time in the past 8 contests. Lakers 128, Trailblazers 109.
And that's all for sports.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with your friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.